Scorpio, pause for a moment and really listen, because the energy gathering around you right now is anything but ordinary. There is a shift forming in the unseen, and for many of you, December 3rd is the point where that invisible current finally touches your tangible life. Not everybody stumbles upon a message like this. If your eyes, your mind, your heart are here in this exact moment, it's not random scrolling, it's resonance. And your soul has been pulled into this space because something in you is ready to soften, ready to receive, ready to allow a blessing that doesn't just change your circumstances, but touches your heart at a level even you rarely let others see. Take a slow breath in, Scorpio. Feel the air moving through your body like light. Exhale gently and let yourself arrive fully here. The universe has been trying to speak to you in fragments, little signs, repeated numbers, strange timing, half-felt intuitions. But this is where those fragments begin to weave together into a message you can finally understand. You are not a stranger to intensity. You don't come to this lifetime for surface stories or easy answers. You were born with a soul wired for depth, transformation, and truth. That's why your path has rarely felt simple. It's why so many of your turning points have come through endings, through silence, through sudden realizations that split your old life from your new one. But this time, the turning is different. This time, the shift has softness in it, comfort in it, warmth in it. December 3rd is not arriving as a storm. It's arriving like the first gentle light after a long night inside your own thoughts. There is a blessing moving toward you, but it doesn't come with fireworks and noise. It comes like a hand on your shoulder, like one sentence you needed to hear, like a small door opening that leads to a much bigger life. You may already feel it in your body before anything happens in the outer world. A quiet calm where you used to feel constant worry. A sudden moment of gratitude that makes no logical sense. Tears that rise up when nothing particularly dramatic is occurring, not because you are breaking, but because something inside you is finally loosening, finally letting go of an old weight. This is often how blessings travel, as emotion before evidence, as vibration before form. So if your heart has been behaving strangely lately, softer, more sensitive, or even unexpectedly hopeful, take that as your first confirmation. Your energy knows before your mind catches up. Astrologically, you are walking through an intersection where your emotional body and your destiny path are touching in a rare way. Imagine the sun, your core identity, your active will, turning its gaze toward the deeper waters of your chart, illuminating hidden corners of your psyche you've avoided, endured, or quietly carried for years. At the same time, there is a gentler current moving through your sky, a lunar, intuitive, almost dreamlike influence, inviting you to feel instead of just analyze, to trust instead of just control. Around December 3rd, this creates a moment that feels like an invisible hand turning a key inside you. It might look like a conversation, a message, a realization, an offer, or a seemingly ordinary encounter, but the emotional impact will be unmistakable. You'll know because something in you will whisper, "This changes things. I can't go back to who I was before this." In the language of tarot, the energy around you could be described as a sacred three-part story. The first card that rises from this field is the Star, the energy of healing, hope, and spiritual recalibration. The Star doesn't erase what you've been through. It places it gently in the past and points your gaze toward a future where your scars are not shame, but proof of your survival. When the star stands beside you, it is as if the universe is kneeling beside your tired heart, washing away the dust of disappointment and reminding you, you are not broken, you are becoming. The grief, the silence, the nights when no one knew what you were holding inside, none of that was wasted. It has shaped you into someone who can hold deeper love, clearer truth, and more aligned blessings without losing yourself. This is the first layer of the December 3rd blessing, the slow, quiet return of genuine hope. Standing behind the star, I feel the presence of the Wheel of Fortune, not as loud drama, but as inner confirmation that a cycle has completed. The wheel doesn't spin for nothing. When it turns, it does so because what once fit you has become too small, too heavy, or too empty to carry your next self. You may have felt this recently as a strange mismatch between your inner world and the outer situations you've been enduring. Jobs, roles, connections, habits, identities. Things that used to feel necessary now feel energetically expensive. Situations that once held power over you are starting to feel thinner, less solid, like paper instead of stone. This is the wheel moving. December 3rd is not the first moment of change. It's the point where the change becomes visible, where the shift you've been sensing internally starts to show up externally as options, opportunities, or endings that finally make sense. And then, emerging tenderly from this cosmic story, is the Ace of Cups, the card of emotional renewal, heartfelt blessings, and spiritual nourishment. The Ace of Cups is not just romance or sweet words. It is the sensation of your heart being filled with something that feels clean, kind, and safe after a long time of walking through emotional deserts. This blessing may take form in different ways. A reconnection that actually feels healthy this time. An apology that releases you from years of questioning your worth. A creative inspiration that reawakens your joy. News about money or work that relieves pressure from your chest, or even a deep moment of self-forgiveness that changes the entire tone of your inner narrative. The details may differ, but the essence is the same. Something is being poured into your life that reminds you what it feels like to be emotionally alive in a gentle, grounded way. You might ask, why now? Why December? Why this date? Energetically, December is often a month of spiritual accounting, a time when the soul quietly reviews the year, consciously or not, and chooses what to carry forward and what to finally put down. For you, Scorpio, this has been a year of intense internal reconfiguration. Even if the world didn't see it, you've been rearranging beliefs, boundaries, loyalties, and dreams. You've mourned versions of yourself you had to outgrow. You've walked away from people, places, and patterns that felt like home, but were built on an old story of your worth. That doesn't happen overnight, but it does accumulate. And December 3rd marks a point in your timeline where the universe seems to say, enough taking away. Now we begin to give back. Not because you've been perfect, but because you've been honest. Not because you haven't made mistakes, but because you've been willing to learn from them. Blessings often arrive when humility and self-respect finally learn to stand side by side inside you. For some of you, this blessing will manifest in love, not necessarily in the form of a dramatic reunion or a fairy tale entrance, although that may be true for a few, but more often as a shift in the way love feels in your body. You may notice that you no longer feel desperate for someone's validation the way you once did. There is less hunger, less begging energy, more quiet readiness. You might find that an old connection suddenly loses its emotional power over you, freeing space for something healthier. Or a new person may appear in your orbit whose presence feels like a soft exhale rather than a gripping suspense. This too is a blessing that touches your heart, when love begins to feel safe enough for you to soften without losing your edge. Scorpio doesn't need shallow affection. You need depth you can trust. December's energy begins to align you with that frequency. For others, the blessing will land in the realm of purpose and material life. Maybe it shows up as a message about work that you've been hoping for but stopped expecting. A shift in finances that doesn't solve everything overnight but takes you out of survival mode and back into creation mode. A project idea or collaboration that suddenly moves from stuck to flowing. The important part isn't how large or flashy it looks on paper. It's the way it makes your nervous system relax. You'll know this blessing by the feeling that for the first time in a long time, the universe isn't just testing you, it's supporting you. The pressure doesn't vanish, but it becomes meaningful instead of random. You begin to sense that the effort you have been pouring into your life is finally starting to echo back as results. There is also a spiritual dimension to this December 3rd energy that cannot be ignored. Scorpio, you have walked through chapters where it felt like no one truly saw the depth of what you were carrying. You've survived seasons where you had to be your own comfort, your own guide, your own witness. In the unseen, there have been presences walking with you. Ancestors, guides, loving energies that don't need names to be real. Around this time, many of you will feel a stronger sense of being held from within. You might receive a dream that feels more like a visitation than a random night story. You could hear a sentence in a song, a line in a movie, a passing comment from a stranger that lands in your chest like it was written specifically for you. These are not accidents. They're love letters from the invisible side of life, reminding you that you were never walking alone, even in your loneliest hours. You may notice numbers repeating 3, 12, 21, 333. You may see symbols of water, birds, or keys. You might be drawn to colors like emerald green and soft gold, frequencies of heart healing and gentle abundance. If these appear around you, let yourself be curious instead of dismissive. You don't have to become obsessed with signs, but you are allowed to let them comfort you. Think of them as the universe tapping you on the shoulder saying, yes, this message is for you. Yes, we're still here. Yes, keep going. Sometimes the kindest blessing the universe can send is not money, not romance, not opportunity, but a clear, undeniable feeling that you are guided. Once you truly feel that, your courage to take the next step expands naturally. Of course, a blessing, even one written in light with your name on it, still asks something of you. It asks for room. It asks for readiness. It asks for a willingness to set down what your hands have been clenching for years. December 3rd is a cosmic hinge, but you are the one who turns the handle. That might look like finally forgiving yourself for one specific choice that has haunted you. It might mean sending a message you've been avoiding, or finally closing a door you've been standing in for too long, halfway in and halfway out. It could be as simple as committing to one small daily practice that honors your body or your mind. These acts may seem small, but in spiritual mathematics, sincerity weighs more than size. A single honest step taken in the direction of your own heart can shift timelines that logic can't explain. So Scorpio, I want to invite you into a simple ritual as this blessing approaches. Place your hand over your heart, right where your chest rises and falls. Feel your own pulse. proof that life is still moving through you, even on days you doubted your strength. Take a deep, intentional breath and let it carry these words quietly through your being. I am ready to receive the blessing that is meant for my heart. So I'm open to gentle change. I'm willing to release what cannot come with me into my peace. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to be certain. You only have to be honest. Your soul knows when you mean it, and the universe responds most powerfully to sincerity, not performance. As you move through the days around December 3rd, pay extra attention to the moments that make you feel unexpectedly lighter, softer, or more at peace. The blessing might come as clarity. It might come as a yes. It might come as a no that secretly sets you free. It could be a message that fills your eyes with tears, not because you are hurt, but because you are finally understood. You might find yourself laughing more easily, sleeping more deeply, or feeling strangely safe in your own company. Do not rush past these feelings as if they are nothing. They are evidence that something inside you has shifted, that the weight you've been quietly carrying is finally moving. This too is a blessing that touches your heart, realizing that you no longer have to live every day braced for impact. And somewhere inside this message, gently woven between each word, there is also a reminder for you to hold. What you are hearing now is not a rigid prophecy, not a guarantee carved in stone, but a living mirror, a reflection of one beautiful possibility among many, whispered into your awareness so you can choose how you want to walk forward. Think of it as a story, a symbolic map, a thought experiment for your soul. If this resonates, if it awakens your intuition, makes you feel seen or brings you comfort, then take the parts that feel true and let them support you. If some pieces don't fit, let them drift away like clouds on a windy day. Not every message is meant for every Scorpio in the same way, and that's not a failure. That's the freedom of spiritual guidance. This space is here to inspire, soothe, and empower you, not to replace your own judgment, your free will, or any practical, professional support you may need in your real-life journey. The true power has always been inside you. This message is just a light held up so you can see it more clearly. If your heart is still with me right now, if something in you is quietly nodding, even if your mind can't fully explain why, I invite you to anchor this energy in a simple, visible way. In the comments of your own life, your journal, your prayers, your reflections, or yes, under this very reading, write or speak these words. I am ready to receive the blessing the universe is sending to my heart. Every time you state it, you're not just talking to a video or a screen. You're talking to your future, your guides, your own higher self. You're making a gentle but powerful declaration. I am no longer living only in survival. I am opening to joy. You have already proven that you can survive darkness. You've already faced endings that would have broken a weaker soul. You have walked through the valley with your jaw clenched, your heart cracked, and still you kept moving. December's energy is not here to test that strength again. It's here to honor it, to bathe it, to soften it. To remind you that life is not only made of battles and lessons. There are chapters that are meant to feel like warmth, returning to cold hands, like quiet laughter after years of holding your breath, like the kind of tears that fall not from agony, but from the shock of feeling genuinely loved by life again. So as this date approaches and passes, stay close to your own heart. Be gentle with your body. Drink more water than your stress would like. Sit with yourself for a few minutes each day in stillness, even if your mind chatters the entire time. Whisper your intentions, not as demands but as invitations. And as you do, remember this: you are not behind. You are not late. You have not ruined your path. You are arriving right on time at a doorway your soul has been building from the inside for years. The universe is not coming to save you. It is coming to meet the version of you who finally believes they are worthy of being blessed. Scorpio, if this feels like it was meant for you, let it live, not just as words you heard once, but as a vibration you carry forward. Keep your eyes open for the quiet miracles. Keep your heart open for the soft arrivals. Keep your spirit open for the blessing that does more than change your circumstances. It reminds you who you truly are when you are no longer weighed down. A blessing is approaching that touches your heart, and whether it arrives on December 3rd or in the echo of that date in the days that follow, know this: you are ready to receive it, and you are not walking into it alone.